I'm going to read this book which I have been reading every day. One of my favorite. Right now you can see it's written in just to reverse. Let's see how I work out. Yeah. Fossils on land. Most terrestrial land living animals and plants which have left fossils were actually preserved in water, usually along the banks of rivers and lakes or on seashore. Wind-blown sand or similar particle can also act as sediment to bury organisms in arid habitats. Examples abound of creatures such as dinosaurs or prehistoric mammals being caught in a flash flood, drowned and buried under sediments on the riverbed or lake bottom. Fossilizations on dry land without the role of water in any form is rare by comparison. However, preservation may take place if the conditions are right. Mummifications. In very dry conditions, an animal carcass or dead plant may lose all its natural moisture and body fluids quite quickly before decay can progress far. The microorganisms can the microorganisms and chemical processes that cause decomposition rely on the presence of moisture. So once dried out, the remains may not disintegrate any further, at least do so very slowly. Plant scientists and florists use this technique for pressing flowers or making dried versions. This severe drying out of organisms is known as mummifications. Mummification can happen in deserts and drought-ridden conditions and also in very dry caves. It's usually necessary for the remains to have some kind of physical protection against wind, large swings in temperature, scavengers, moist air carrying microbes, and other agents which would cause them to degrade. This may happen when a dead animal is covered by sand in a desert storm or is lost in a deep cave or tunnel. A prelude to fossilizations. Mummified remains of animals which became extinct relatively recently, like moas, mammoths, giant sloths, and cave bears, are well known. However, these specimens would not survive the rigors of geological time without further preservations. Mummification is usually seen as a helpful prelude to proper fossilizations, with its entombment by sediments and mineral replacement. In such cases, the initial drying out can help to preserve soft tissues such as skin and other features that would normally be lost. The giant tyrannosaurus known as Sue was partly mummified before true fossilization took place. So were some of the remains of dinosaurs such as Protoceratops and their nest and eggs, which are preserved in the dry scrub of what is now the Gobi Desert some 70 million years ago. In the freezer. Another temporary mode of preservation is deep freezing. Some of the best known examples are mammoths, woolly rhinoceros, giant deer, and other large mammals trapped in the snow and ice of the far north, the tundra and permafrost across northern Europe and Asia. Specimens are regularly exposed from the ice, especially by mining exploration from gas, oil, and mineral ore deposits across the vast wastes of Siberia. But as soon as the thaw sets in, so does decomposition. It's necessary to melt the remains very slowly and treat with chemical preservatives at once in an ongoing process to have any hope of stabilizing them over the long term. Amber. This substance is the hardened fossilized resin, gum, or sap of ancient plants, especially conifer trees such as pines, firs, and spruces. The trees makes this resin partly as a form of sealant to cover any cracks, breaks, gashes, or wounds in the bark. Just as our blood clots to seal a cut in the skin, sometimes the smaller creatures passing by, such as flies and other insects, spider, centipedes, even small frogs, and lizard and mammals, become stuck in the adhesive glutinous secretions. So do plant items like wind-blown pollen, seeds, petals, and fragments of leaves and twigs. If the resin or sap continues to ooze fairly rapidly, it may cover and case the specimen, preserving every tiny detail. Amber contains some of the most beautiful and spectacular of all fossils, giving valuable insight into the evolution of small and delicate creatures that are hardly ever pressed in the usual way. A few specimens of amber date as far as the early Cretaceous, but most are from the Tertiary period. Famous deposits occur in the Dominican Republic, Caribbean, and the Baltic regions of Europe. That's for today. That was Fossil on Land, written from the book The Complete Guide to Fossils and Fossil Collecting from Hermes House, and the chapter was Fossils on Land.